In this video, we will demonstrate how to generate maximum likelihood estimates and perform statistical testing for independent versus first-order dependent discrete time Markov processes on internet data collected related to the sales of clothing. The context for this problem is the company CatchMe Running, a small online retailer of women's running shirts.
I'm Barbara Gary, and I am co-founder and part owner of CatchMe Running Company. We are a small women's running wear company based in Evergreen, Colorado, and we have been in operation for a couple of years. We started a couple of years ago with our idea, and we got it at the Salt Lake City Marathon. We were there running the race, and we were at the expo and noticed some other t-shirt vendors there. And there was one lady in particular who was selling lots of women's shirts. And in looking at those, we felt like her design could have been more appealing, and we felt like that we had something better to offer. We felt like that women wanted something a little more simple. They wanted something classy that made a statement, and we felt like that was something that we wanted to provide for females to do. That'd be a profitable thing for us to do and something that women would enjoy. And so we started our business from there. We began with hiring a graphic designer, and he made a logo for us. We did some designs for some shirts. We got a bunch of shirts and hired a silk screener and got shirts printed and started from there. We hit several different expos selling our shirts, and we felt like response was positive. People enjoyed the shirt. They really responded well to our design. But the problem with that being is that we weren't selling enough quantity. It was this kind of a hefty and a steep price that we paid for the entry fee. And with selling at the expo, we weren't selling enough to cover that fee. So we realized that a problem exists. We did also as well sell them off the internet and set up a website, and people could come on the website and place orders as well and order them. When we would get an order, we would, from our house, take the shirt, fulfill the order, put it in a box, take it to the post office, and mail it out. So we were truly a home-based operation business. We continue to do this, but still looking for ways to increase our sales and to be able to sell more and reach more people with that. We feel like we have a fabulous product. We have something that women want. Women really, when they do a sport that they enjoy like running, women want to look good when they do something that they enjoy doing. And so we feel like we have a great design, we have a great product, we have what women want. Our challenge is just trying to figure out how the best way is to get it to the females. And what strategy would work best for us to increase our sales and continue our product. That being said, in the future, we aren't limited just to shirts. We have thought about this, and we have a great other marketing ideas. We want to expand into visors, socks, running skirts, a whole line of apparel, not just limited to shirts. So we have the vision of what we want to do. We are just at the point where we need to figure out how the best way is to do that.
Suppose that CatchMe Running is interested in examining the probability that a customer visiting their website will buy one or more shirts. It is believed that repeat customers will be more likely to buy shirts than new customers, and that the number of shirts bought previously influences the number of shirts bought on a repeat visit, but this assertion needs to be verified. Though the problems presented are representative of one in that industry, keep in mind that all data given in this video are fictitious and for illustrative purposes only. Assume that the company has tracked individuals visiting their site using their IP addresses and has observed the following data over the past 8 years. Note that if a person hasn't visited the site in over a year, it is assumed that they are a lost customer that never comes back or are absorbed. This table counts the number of times customers purchased 0, 1, 2, or 3 or more shirts on a visit to the site, given that they bought 0, 1, 2, or 3 or more shirts on a previous visit. As an example, there were 200 customers who purchased one shirt when on their last visit they didn't purchase any shirts. There were 16 customers who purchased one shirt when on their last visit they purchased 2 shirts. And there were 18,000 customers who never came back when they hadn't purchased a shirt on their previous visit. The problem is to test whether the number of shirts a customer purchased on their previous visit to the CatchMe Running website significantly influences whether they will be a lost customer or the number of shirts they buy on this visit. If the test concludes that there is dependence, and it is assumed to be dependent on only the actions taken by the customer on their previous visit, and not on ones before that too, then what are the maximum likelihood estimates of these purchasing probabilities? The problem of assessing whether sales of shirts has some dependence on the actions taken by the customer on previous visits may be determined through a hypothesis test of the following form, where P is the one-step transition probability matrix of a discrete time Markov chain for the stochastic model. Note that pi I denotes the probability of transitioning into state I, and since all rows other than the one corresponding to the absorbing state are identical in the null hypothesized P matrix, this would indicate independence of the process. The statistical test for this hypothesis against the alternative that the rows are not identical follows a chi-square test for homogeneity, with the degrees of freedom being equal to the number of rows minus 1 times the number of columns minus 1. The test statistic then is given by the following, where n is the total number of observations, nij is the count corresponding to the I jth entry, and n.j is the count corresponding to the jth column summed over the ith row. Since we are interested in those transitions from the transient states, the number of rows is equal to 4 and columns equal to 5. If the null hypothesis of homogeneity were not rejected, the estimates of the transition probabilities are as follows. If the null hypothesis is rejected, then there is evidence of some form of dependence. Further testing could be used to show how far back in a customer's purchasing actions we would need to go to find a significant influence on a customer's present purchasing probabilities. Assuming a first-order dependence, or that only the immediate preceding event is important, the maximum likelihood estimates of a one-step dependent P matrix may be found by the following, where ni dot is the row sum of the counts. Using the data that were given, the problem of testing for dependence and generating the maximum likelihood estimates of the one-step transition probabilities of the chain may be found.